on, and then I can Google
Oh,
it, and you'll be okay with it.
Lunch with Leah, episode 501, season 5 premiere. And here's Leah.
Well, we're late, but we have excuses because I'm going to tell you that storm the other night knocked out every electrical thing within a mile in every direction. The Wi-Fi's out, the phones are out, the TVs were out, everything's out. So we had a little technical difficulty today. We had another little surprise that came in. Look what we got, James and I. Versace. Are these limited edition or not?
Yeah, they only made a limited number of them, they
What
said.
is a
So
limited number? We need to know that number.
they told me only 10 to 4 stores in the U.S. is what they said, but Saks has them as well. So
Yeah, I'm wondering if they were
Yep.
numbered or anything.
Yeah.
Isn't this fabulous?
It's beautiful.
No, we don't spend any money anymore.
I know. We never go out or do anything. Might as well sit at home.
Go shopping. We may as well spend our money on something we're going to drink out of. I think it's just.
It's
simply
beautiful.
fabulous. Oh, it's quarantine safe.
Yes,
I
it's
love it.
it's wonderful.
Anyway, so how's everybody doing? Everything's the same around here, and nothing changes like Groundhog Day. Meanwhile, so I made this trip to LA. I was thinking I'll go out there because everybody's saying, "Why aren't you on Jeff's show? Why aren't you Jeff's show?" I need you guys to go on Jeff's Facebook page right now and say, "We want Leah Black." Maybe he'll let me call in, but so I went out. I wanted to go out there and do that, and I wanted to check on the house, and I wanted to get some cool weather, and I thought we could sit outside there. You can't sit outside around here right now. It's 200 damn degrees with mosquitoes the size of butterflies, and it's just hot and humid. I mean, my hair. I mean, you walk outside, and all of a sudden your hair is just—it's just so hot and humid. But anyway, so then I was like, okay, so we're gonna leave and go out there and cool down because RJ's doing everything online, and Roy's doing everything online. And then the damn fires started. There's like so many fires out there.
It's horrible.
Doesn't anyone understand we are living in climate change?
Yeah, it's really
We're
bad.
living in climate change. I got so upset thinking about, oh my God, those poor people. And then, you know, one little boy, I think he died with his dog in his lap. I
It's
couldn't
horrible.
stand it. And then the other families, their houses, they lost everything. But one of them was, I read this article, this woman ran and got in the car, and the guy said, well, you can ride with me, but I can't stop to take you to the hospital. I'm looking for my wife. It was his wife. She was so burned, he
didn't even know her.
He had to still go find the little boy. I just can't. And then you think about all the animals, and the dogs, and the cats, and the birds, and the deer, and, you know, the horses, and, oh, it just makes me sick. And then he's going to go out there. He goes out there and says, you know, he tells the scientists, well, I don't think scientists know what's going on with climate change. And then he goes, well, if you kept the forest clean, you know, wouldn't have this problem. Just sweep up the leaves. Well, sweep up the leaves, and then on top of it, 97% of the property is federal government.
Yeah, it's government. That's what I was going to say. Most of the fires are on government property right now.
And the state of California is cleaning up the government property, and Trump's going, well, I don't think we should send them any money because I told them 3 years ago to clean these forests, and they didn't do it. Are you kidding me? And what do you think, you're just going to get out a vacuum cleaner and hundreds of thousands of acres and just vacuum the leaves? It's not that simple. And these are federal properties that they're not funding to take care of. And the entire budget of California is going to fight the fires right now. And then when I saw that Gavin Newsom, that gorgeous hunk of a governor out there, he should have been a movie star. Isn't he cute? I mean, come on. And he's so gorgeous and so well spoken, and my heart was breaking. It was like he was holding back tears. It was like, I am begging for help. We are living in climate change. What you see happening here now is going to be in your neighborhood next. And you know what I was thinking? That's exactly what Cuomo said in New York. Remember?
Yep.
When he said, what I'm going through now, you're going to be going through later.
In 5 weeks.
And here we go.
Yeah.
And remember, they didn't want to fund it, and they didn't want to stop the virus because it was spreading in primarily blue states, Los Angeles and California. Of course, those are the most populated states where the most international flights come in.
Yeah.
And New York and California, and so they didn't want to, you know, fund it or do anything about it. Kind of like when Reagan didn't want to do anything about AIDS because it was only for queers, you know, that weird thing, that mentality.
Yep.
So they said, and now it's all in the red states. It's in the red states because Trump's running around spreading it with those viruses, with the
super spreader events.
Super spreader. He is the biggest super spreader of all super spreaders. So I just can't anymore. It's just too much. So my neighbor mentioned mentions to me that the ashes are falling in out there, like on the neighbors' yards and everything. So I'm gonna wait and see what happens with the fires before I decide to go. Meanwhile, Roy Jr. and Roy, I don't know how they do it. They get out and walk every day at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, one or the other, in this heat for 2 to 3 miles. I mean, I just can't even walk outside in my car without having to get water and a fan and,
I've been trying to work in my yard some, but my foot's been broken, so I haven't been able to do much the last couple of weeks. But I'll tell you, I'm going through like 5 shirts in like 2 hours.
make sure you're
It's horrible.
Versace ones.
No, they're all my t-shirts. Well, why not? I don't have anywhere else to wear them anymore. I might as well be in the front yard in a Versace silk.
Then Roy Jr.'s doing his lessons online. Another reason we got running late today. Listen, we are taking this virus seriously. Look at this mask this girl sent me. James, you got to give them the.
Oh yeah, it was the dragon
Dragon
hearts.
Dragon hearts. I love this. Okay, look, it's the mask.
Masks.
You can also.
It's on Etsy.
Like this, with this in the back, on the back of your hair to hold it, so you don't have to. If you don't want to put it like over your ears, you can do it over your hair, or you pull it and arrange it however you want.
Oh yeah.
I think it's fabulous.
It's really cute.
But it's dragon what?
Dragon hearts.
Look, and then
mask.
it makes into a
The
cup.
dragon heart mask.
So you can just wear it around. So I'm getting afraid of one. Did you order it?
Dragonheartmask.com. It's at Etsy is where it is. So you have to go to Etsy.com and then search Dragonheart masks and it'll come up.
ETSY?
Yeah,
Okay.
ETSY.
So did you order afraid of hers?
No, I haven't ordered any.
I sent you that pink one. I wanted you to order.
Oh, I didn't know you wanted me to look at the pictures. I said they look nice, but I didn't know you wanted me to order
I
it.
ordered her the pink one because what happens is if the workers are coming in the house now because of the electrical, the TV, we haven't had anybody in our house since March 14th.
Right.
Now they're coming in the house and she's taking her mask on and off, and I was like, oh, if she had one of these, she could just put it around, wear it as a little bracelet, and then put it on when some worker has to come to the house. I mean, we are spraying everything with Lysol, we are spraying everything with alcohol, we are wearing our masks, we are socially distancing, even in the house. We are doing everything to contain the virus, and it's so annoying when you're doing everything and staying home and not going anywhere to look out and see these complete fools running around, partying, drinking, getting drunk, boat hopping, going to parties, going inside restaurants. The CDC came out the other day and said 50% of the viruses now that are spreading, they have determined are from people in the restaurants.
They're having trouble hearing you because of the
Let me move this up a little bit. If my mouth isn't big enough and loud enough.
Can you hear her better now, guys? Is that better?
So meanwhile, RJ's taking his lessons online, and he didn't finish till 10 minutes late today. One of the reasons we're a little late today getting here, because I wanted him to drive me, because I don't want the valet to park my car, because I don't want him touching anything or breathing in the car. I mean, this is how particular I'm being. But then all these schools, remember, they were all going to open up, and we were all like, what are you talking about? You're opening up, you don't have the PPE, you don't have the spray, you don't have the Lysol, you don't have the room spread out, you don't have room for the distancing, you don't have any of this. And they're going to start back now, one by one. They're either reclosing, shutting down. They can't send kids home because they can't put them on a plane. They're having to figure out how to quarantine them. It's been a whole big deal. Well, we could have told you that. Just ask us. We knew that. Oh, yeah.
Well, apparently we fixed the mic. There was a problem, so everyone says they can hear you much better now.
Sorry if you missed one word of anything I said.
And everyone's saying, welcome back, Leah. They've sure missed you. Marcella Bernardi said, welcome back, Leah. They missed you. They can all hear you now. And Adam Dobson totally agrees. It's like people do not understand that it's a respiratory infection.
Get the Bob Woodward book, but in the meantime, go online and listen to his interviews with Trump. How Herman Cain goes to that rally in, was it Tulsa? And dies a few weeks later from COVID. He was in the hospital and on a respirator for a few weeks. There's no doubt he got it there. Of course he got it there. Then, now they're saying that there were 250 people that got it, not directly, but indirectly, like 25 got it and it spread into 250 from a wedding somewhere, and 3 died. So if you go listen to these tapes, February the 7th, Trump was saying on the recording with Bob Woodward, the author, who's done 9 presidential biographies,
of presidents, that this is dangerous, Bob. This is a killer. The wrong person gets it, they don't stand a chance. You know, you get it from the air. It's awful. You just breathe it in and you can get it. And by the way, it's not all adults and old people either. Kids are getting it too. This is what Trump is telling Bob Woodward in the interview for his book called Rage, R-A-G, you should get it, and go online and listen to the interviews of Trump. Meanwhile, he goes out to the public and goes, oh, it's a hoax. It's going to go away when the sun comes out. Remember, it was going to go away for Easter Sunday, and then it was going to go away when the sun came out, and then it was going to go away here, and it was going to go away there. Now, last night, he goes, well, it's going to be mental herd immunity.
Yeah, mental herd, all right.
Mental herd immunity.
They're like a bunch of lemmings following each other off the cliff.
Well, the doctors came out today and said for it to get herd immunity, you would have to have 2 million or more Americans would have to die, because that would mean that 80% of the population would have to have it. And of that 80%, 4% would probably die from it based on the current numbers. I mean, it just went on. And I'm just like, you know, get rid of this dude. Meanwhile, we finally got the dogs groomed. Little baby's over there, got him groomed. I had the lady come and do the dogs. I've been very careful about having her do the dogs. So I have her come in the garage, you pull the cars out. She's got her station there. Nobody else can go in the garage. She hands the dogs over, puts them in the yard. We leave them out in the sun for 10 minutes. Then we wipe them down with Lysol pads, and then we let them in the house. So that's what's going on. Oh, tonight, watch what happens live.
Yes.
Ben and Ronnie are going to be on there.
Watch What Crappens meets Watch What Happens.
That's going to be so good.
And I'm so glad too that they actually changed their marketing a little bit too, and they were calling them like super fans or something like that, but now they're calling them Bravo podcast or Bravo centric podcasters.
You know, this is one of the things about Bravo. It's like a big ship. To turn it, it takes like years. It's like how they didn't see the talent of these guys 5 years ago.
No, listen, I'm so happy for it, but I wanted to make a joke about it on the page, but then I didn't because I really love those guys.
Go ahead.
I started to say though that Bravo probably invited them to the clubhouse to give them a cease and desist. Those seem to be flying around a lot at Bravo right now.
But honestly, I don't understand why they didn't recognize their talent earlier.
They're
because
great.
They promote every one of Bravo's shows in the funniest, most hilarious way. So it's
listen, I see people comment on their feed all the time. The only reason I still watch those Bravo shows is so I can hear your follow-ups the next day. And that's why they're watching them.
I didn't know I had any.
Yeah, no, but I meant like for them, for Ronnie and Ben. I see in their feed all the time.
Yeah, what we have to do now, we have to start tweeting and Facebooking and doing all this stuff to get Ronnie and Ben say, oh, they're fantastic, bring them back. They've got to be on there. They're the best.
They should have their own show.
Of course they should. They're
whatever
so funny.
that Bravo talk show they tried to have with like Jerry O'Connell and those guys. It's a good concept. They just had the wrong people.
Of course they didn't. Those guys didn't. Ronnie and Ben have never missed one Bravo show since its inception.
And
meanwhile, so what else have I been doing? Well, you know, the food banks. Jason came up with this genius plan. So, you know, every week I buy all the groceries for all these families. I'm telling you, it's exhausting. It started out with Heidi, Haiti, Paul, Omar, Esperanza, Tico. Started out with those plus us. So it was 7. It's dwindled down a little because people are now getting to the food banks, but we didn't know about the food banks. So now there's a food bank you can go to, and you drive up and they just put everything in the car. So we have one of the guys going once a week now. He's bringing the food, and they're dividing the food amongst all the people in the neighborhood that don't have any food. Because for the homeless people, because they didn't have, you know, we were bringing the food home, washing it all down, and they were going and putting bags and handing food out to people. So now they can just bring those boxes and go and like deliver them. So it's fantastic. It stopped me from having to go shopping. I was exhausted, Jason. I put on 2 masks, 2 gloves, the visor, my sunglasses with my alcohol spray, and spray everything down and go buy all this food, go home, wash it all down. They divide it all up into baskets or bags and then go and give it to people. It was exhausting. So now we're getting everybody to go to the food bank. And for the people that can't go to the food bank, we have a guy going once a week, and he's going to get the stuff, and they're going to do it in the garage. I don't have to do it anymore. I'm so tired.
Adam Dobson says, you truly...
What?
You going to the grocery store.
I was going to the grocery store, the dollar store, the Walmart store, everywhere, and I was buying like 4 bags of potatoes, 4 bags of apples, 4 bags of lettuce, and then we were bringing it home and washing it down and dividing it up, you know, and it's just so much. So now we've got the food bank. I'm so grateful for the food bank. But by the way, if you're not there by 8 or 9, they're shut down. Did you know that? He went there the other day, got there after 9, and they were closed. All the food was gone. Food banks are getting longer. The virus is spreading more. The fires are out of hand, and there's 2 hurricanes in the Gulf, and the thunderstorm here the other night was so bad it blew out the whole city and shook my house like vibrating for 5 minutes.
I lost a tree in my front yard.
We are living
a branch in
climate change. Right now, we're living it.
Adam Dobson says, you truly are the mayor of Miami. And Dr. Jonathan May said, thank you for all you're doing. Please make sure to tell everyone that the last day to register to vote in Florida is October 5th. Make sure everyone is registered and request their mail-in ballots. Or go in person if you
I've
can.
been working the phone banks. I didn't tell you guys.
Yeah,
I'm working the phone banks too to get people to vote. I'm trying to get this video clips together of celebrities that this guy's going to edit to put on social media, get people to vote. We're doing all that too. And the debates are coming up. You don't want to miss the debates. And tonight, Joe Biden's going to be on a town hall with Anderson Cooper. And you know, I love it when he's out there talking because, you know, their big thing that they have going is, oh, he's so old and senile. Well, meanwhile, Trump's either his teeth are falling out or he's slurring his words. I can't quite figure it out. And he leans on the podium like this. He can't stand up straight. And then when he has to walk down the ramp, he holds on. Then his right leg swaggers around like this when he's walking. The guy's how many pounds overweight? And we've never seen his medical records. And remember, they broke into that doctor's office, that wackadoodle doctor in the beginning, and got all of his files out of there. And he's attacking Biden about his health. It reminds me of when the National Choir said Hillary was dying within 6 weeks. That was what, 5 years ago?
Yeah, but you know, that's the Trump MO. They project what they're doing out and accuse everyone else of doing it. He did that during the entire campaign.
Yes.
And I mean, that's his MO.
It's amazing that
and it's
some
amazing
people
don't see the forest for the trees. I mean,
how he has 1% ratings right now. It's just beyond. So meanwhile, one of the girls at the house that got divorced. Now, I don't know the whole story because between the English and the Spanish and the Spanglish, I can't understand the whole damn thing. But she somehow moved out. Apparently they were fighting or he was abusive or whatever. She gets this apartment. First, I tried to get her an apartment. Freda thought she had one for her. She finally finds an apartment. She goes and she gets it. It's really cute. So I told Jason we have to decorate the apartment. Here are my 2 masks, my 2 gloves, my sun visor, my eyeglasses, my alcohol spray. I go to Marshall's. I go to all the stores. We decorated her whole apartment in 4 days. She has drapes. She has a kitchen done. She has a beautiful kitchen table I got for $99. I can believe it's solid wood. It opens up for 4. You can put it down for 2. We got her the TV. We got everything, the vanity, everything. Her bed, Jason ordered her bed. We ordered the bed linens. We got the whole apartment's all fixed up, hung all the art on the wall. I bought cheap art at like Marshall's and whatever. And I had a bunch of art in the garage. I mean, in the storage unit that I don't even know, we hadn't used for years, where it came from the Keys house, you know, when I had a rental house. Put all that over there. It looks fantastic, Jason, doesn't it?
Oh, no.
So cute. So cute. So she's all set now. So now I had to give her a raise to help pay for it. I swear. Oh, whatever. You can't help people when they're down. Why have any money? So the books that I'm reading or have read, my God, the Melania Trump book. You guys have to read it. So I was like 20 pages from finishing it. I was going to bring it. Do you want to read it, Jason? You don't care? Nah. Oh, well, anyway. Did you read it, James? You don't care either. Well,
I haven't read it. I've just been busy.
I just like it because I like to see how they are, you know? Yeah. So the takeaway from that book, this girl, Stephanie, that wrote the book, was her best friend for many, many years, and she doesn't want to say anything about Melania, and she tried to help her. But when they turned on Stephanie and said she got that $25 million for doing the inauguration, she didn't get a dime. She was doing it as a favor to Melania, but in the campaign and all the political committees were paying for the inauguration. And so the money just didn't even go through her. But they tried to hang her out and put her as the fall guy. And Melania didn't back her up. And so that's when she decided, I'm going to get these tapes and I'm going to have my backup and I'm going to protect myself. And that's when she started taping Melania. And that's when she decided to write the book. But the takeaway is, and the bottom line is, Melania is very, very private. She doesn't want anybody to know anything about her. She is honestly very much like Trump. She's very self-absorbed. It's all about her. And the one thing you learn is you never ask her for anything. You don't ask her for anything. And she seemed to be ungrateful. And the girl was not saying it in a nasty way. She was just pointing out, this is what happened. This is what I did. This project came up. Then I did this. And then I did this. And then it is. But if you read it with what all went on, you can't not agree that this girl worked herself to death 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and Melania let her do it, and she didn't even back her up in the end. So that was bothersome. Then I'm reading the Bob Woodward book as soon as it comes in, called Rage, but in the meantime I've gotten all the highlights and read all the gossip and listened to the videos. You need to get the videos and listen to them. And then the Michael Cohen book. Oh my God, that's another one. I mean, say what you want about Michael Cohen. He went to jail for lying, but he was lying to protect Trump. And then the Republicans are all going, but he's a liar. You can't believe anything he says. He's a liar because he was lying to protect Trump.
I think probably we've documented 30,000 lies now.
Yeah, they're up to about almost 30.
It's 30, I think now. So
yeah, it's out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, glass houses.
And then the Peter Strzok book. Remember when Trump painted this Peter Strzok because he had this affair with Lisa,
right. Whatever?
He was head of one of the top dogs at the FBI, and they just treated him horrible. They turned him into like public enemy number one because he had written some negative text about Trump. Well, it turns out he wrote some negative text about Hillary Clinton. He wrote negative text about Bernie Sanders. He wrote negative text about everybody. But it wasn't, in his view, negative. In his view, is just these people are crazy. And so the only thing you ever heard about was the bad stuff he said about Trump. You didn't hear that he equally said bad stuff about every other candidate that deserved it. Mm-hmm. If they did something out of line or they were being stupid, he called them out to his girlfriend in the text. Well, that's all you heard about. Turns out this guy recruited spies for the American people for 25 years. He's one of the top experts in Russia. And the book is just fascinating. And he was so good on Rachel Maddow. It's the Peter Strzok book. It's called Compromised. Mm-hmm. And it's about Russia and what Russia has, wittingly or unwittingly. Trump is a Russian agent. I mean, there's just no doubt.
Absolutely.
Look at all the things he's done to accommodate. Pulled out of Syria, pulled out of Germany. Just on and on. The list just goes on and on. He's given them everything they want, and we've got nothing in return. And then the article in the Atlantic that came out that said Trump has got bounties that Putin's got bounties on our soldiers' heads. Trump never even called him out. He's never acknowledged it. He's never mentioned it. He's never brought it up. He's just like, well, there's no proof of it. Well, 17 different intelligence agencies have said that the Russians have bounties on our troop, and that 3 of them, they found money transfers where they were paid for killing 3 of our soldiers, and they've got the money transfer documents to prove it, and the president is inviting him to the G8. Come back, come join again. Make it an 8 instead of a 7. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And then the John Bolton book came out, which I have no love lost for him because he should have gotten his butt over there and testified. He refused to testify without a subpoena, and they didn't want to drag it on and on and on, the impeachment hearings. But the truth was that Bolton just basically, all the generals have come out. He's unfit, he's unstable, he's, whatever. So all that was going on. And there was something I was going to tell you about that. I can't remember. Anyway, so all 4 of the generals 4 of the biggest generals in the history of the country have come out and said he's the number 1 threat and danger to the country is Donald J. Trump. These are career generals, most of which are Republicans. Anyway, then we've got the postal delays. Have any of you had your products delayed? Jason, or is anybody complaining?
Not recently, but they were in the past.
Yeah.
We're having a few issues, but I've noticed that it seems that things have maybe been...
Well, they've determined, what?
I think maybe they've been fixed again.
What they've determined is that most of the problems are in the blue states. That's where they halt.
It's horrible.
90-something the mailboxes and shut down several of the places and dumped. They found in one place they had just dumped truckloads of mail out in the middle of the street in a couple of places, but they're all in the blue states. So here DeJoy is sabotaging the blue states for the election. Meanwhile, he owns, I can't remember, I want to say $700 million worth of stock in competitors of UPS, of the US Post Office. So if he can shut the US Post Office down, his competitors that he owns money interest in those companies can get the business. So he's a two for one. Let's keep Trump in office so I can keep the power going and my tax breaks going, and at the same time keep people from voting, from getting their votes in.
Exactly. No, it's been really bad.
It's been really bad.
Mine was interrupted. I didn't get mail for a full week, and then it came for 3 days, and then it stopped again for another 7 days, and then this week I've had it every day this week. But this month has been horrible. And I spoke to the carrier, and she, they've consolidated. The local Miami Shores post office is now retail only, and you can't, they don't have carriers, they don't do sorting and things like that there. So now everything's been pushed to the main facility up in North Miami, and then they've cut back to 30% staff, and almost half of that, the people are out with COVID right now. So it's just a mess.
It's a mess, but they're doing it in areas like the beach is a blue area.
Yep.
That's a Democratic area. So it's very targeted. They're being very precise about it. Someone just told me they can't find us on YouTube. How do they find us on YouTube?
On YouTube,
Yeah.
You just go to Leah Black or search Leah Black on YouTube and go to the channel, and you can watch it there.
Okay, go there. All right, meanwhile, the Kushner Inc. book. Oh my God, this guy, his whole family, it's like it's contagious between the Trumps and the Kushners. That's another good book by Vicki Ward. I've read a lot of books lately, I can't help myself. In other news, LVMA pulled out of buying Tiffany. They took their $16 billion takeover money and went home, and I'm glad, because I think Tiffany needs to maintain the sophistication and the uniqueness and the pedigree that it has. Why send it over to LVMH, which is just like mass merchandising anymore? You know what I mean?
Well, I wouldn't call them mass merchandising, but they're all top tier brands. They're still selling, what is that, Louis Vuitton? It's got that visor for $1,000 to cover your face up.
They still have it, but I'm telling you, little by little, they're going to start selling to the masses. They'll always have that upscale thing, but by selling to the masses, they're denigrating and lowering the bar of the upper stuff.
Yeah,
that's just the
they
way,
were
in my
still
opinion.
they beat all the other brands out as the top brand
Who
this
did?
year. Louis Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton did?
Yeah, and actually there were only 2 fashion brands in the top 50.
Versace's
of
in
all
the
brands.
top 5
Of fashion brands, but out of brands
Oh,
overall.
brands overall.
Yeah, there were only
Louis
2
Vuitton?
fashion, and Louis Vuitton was one
And
of
who was
them.
the other one?
Hermes wasn't in it either. It
Yeah.
was Louis Vuitton and who was it? Prada, I think. Is what the other
Really?
one was
Well,
that I
that's
read.
interesting.
Yeah. But they were talking about how Gucci, or no, sorry, it was Gucci, and then they were talking about how Prada had fallen in and out so much over the last few years that
Oh, yeah,
when
it
you
had to
look
be
at major
Gucci.
brands, it was only
Yeah.
Gucci and Louis
Yeah,
Vuitton.
that doesn't surprise me. Gucci's that I don't
Gucci
get
is
it.
the brand the millennials are in love
I
with.
like
so.
it. Jason wears Gucci shoes every day, and pretty much. And Versace over here, James. I'm kind of like, I like anything I like. I don't care if it came from the dollar store. If I like it, I'll wear it. Anyway, so in celebrity news, Harry and Meghan signed a deal with Netflix. It seems to just be driving the palace crazy. I really do believe, and I'm always going to believe it unless I have a one-on-one conversation with Palace, that they ran her out of there. They ran her out of there. They knew, allegedly, that, the fact that she was partially black, there would be a certain amount of people that would turn on her. So they played that up. And then on top of it, I just think they were too popular and too big and too fabulous. And the other 2 didn't get the same amount of attention, and I think one of those 2 didn't like it. And I think that a lot of those stories that came out of the palace that were leaked were on behalf of a team of people that were protecting one of the people in the palace. And you have to think, who is the beneficiary? Oh, that reminds me, you got to read that book about Melania. The one person that she makes look the worst of all, and not by trashing her, but just by pointing out all the devious, conniving, behind the scenes, backstabbing things she did, was Ivanka. Oh my God, you won't believe Ivanka's just tried to be the first lady, basically. She tried to take over everything. And you know, the first lady's supposed to have a box at the State of the Union and have 8 seats. Ivanka took all 8 of them. Mm-hmm. They had to go fight to get 4 of them back. I mean, she did, and when the first lady's first luncheon she was supposed to have, Ivanka just inserted herself and started inviting people and doing the seating. I mean, she just tried so hard, and she never missed a photo op. They said her biggest goal was to get in the photo with the hand on the Bible during the swearing in, and just out of fun, just to get even, they made sure she wasn't in that photo just because they were so sick of her. You know, like nobody really cared, but they were just so sick of her. The other thing was interesting that Melania, when Trump got caught with the tape on the grab the PUSSY tape, what was the name? Access Hollywood. She was like, oh, boys will be boys. I know who I married. Didn't bother her at all. Then the Stormy Daniels thing, she was mad, but only mad because it embarrassed her. Yeah. I mean, she's cold as ice.
Something else.
And then we watched the Beverly Hills reunion. So Denise is now leaving. The girls all piled on, and it appears that it was Rinna, Erica, and Teddy versus Dorette, Garcelle, and who am I missing? Anyway, and Denise, and Sutton was kind of somewhere in the middle. So I don't know if it's true or not true, you know, but it does annoy me that Brandy went on yesterday to some other rating TV show, I forget, Access Hollywood or one of those, and told this whole big story. And then she said, well, I had to come out and say it because I need the money to pay for my kids. So she just basically came out and admitted that I'm doing this for money. And then she said, well, Denise stabbed me in the back again, because now that she's not going to be on the show next year, I won't be on it either. So she stabbed me in the back again. So she admitted, basically, I did it to get back on the show, and I'm telling all the stories to get paid for the press, because I know from someone in the press that she only would go on and talk about it with people that would pay her. Mm-hmm. So it just bothers me. I don't like people that hurt other people just to get where they want to go.
So,
I don't like that.
Andy said yesterday on his radio show that 100% Denise wanted to come back for the next season, but they could not agree to the terms that she was putting forth.
Yeah.
I heard it was an outrageous amount of money is what she wanted, and they said that there was just no way that they were going to do it, and so that was it.
Well, not only that, she's a big star,
yeah,
and she can go make $1 million a movie and be done in 6 weeks. So
well, I mean, she's only Bold and Beautiful. She's got a full
Bond girl. Why should she go work for cheap when she can make a movie in 6 weeks and make $1 million? Number one. Number two, the way they all piled on and trashed her, she probably got left with a bad taste in her mouth. Number three, she did get caught in a few little stories, but I think she was her intent was good. She was trying to protect herself and her kids and her family. Anyway, then apparently with New York, Bethany sent out a tweet that said, when you hang with trash, you start to smell like garbage. Yeah. She was quoting Caroline Manzo.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, Dorinda's leaving. What do you think about that?
I think she should leave. Dorito.
Oh, why do you I always liked her on the show.
I think the last 2 seasons, it's just been a spiral down. And if she cannot, when I heard what she did to Tinsley about this, it was the situation where Tinsley's boyfriend, Scott, gave money to her boyfriend. And when she found that out, that she said that's when she turned on her. And I believe that. And I think that they even had like some footage of the phone call.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I think that's been an issue. Did you hear about the Leah McSweeney on there?
Yeah.
And she's holding out now because she said they only paid her $3,000 an episode, which was about $60,000. And listen, she was the show this season. She's the future of that show.
She brought it.
And now they're holding out, or she's holding out, and they're supposed to start filming this week. Actually, Adam Dobson was asking you what you thought about that.
I would agree with her that she's entitled to more than $3,000 an episode, but I agree with her mother in that I prefer when she doesn't get quite so drunk.
Yeah, she has stopped drinking. She's not drinking now.
Favors because she's a lovely girl. She's very pretty. Seems to have a good heart. I agreed with her when she said, we've all been up here in New York sacrificing wearing our mask. and trying to cut this virus down. You guys have all been out and
Luann.
partying and partying and partying and partying, and now you want to come back here and act like nothing ever happened. I agree with her on that one.
Yeah,
We're
Ramona.
paying the dues.
I think Ramona should go too. To be very honest, I love Sonia. I think she should maybe is the only one they should keep behind Leah, and then I think the rest of them. And I think Sonia would probably fit in with Leah's young friends if they brought that group
Sonia
in.
will fit in with anybody, and I'll tell
And
you why. She's got a good heart, and she goes with the flow.
And I am so hurt over her finally getting something at Century 21, and they announced last week they're closing all their stores.
I know.
I could not believe it.
I
And she's heartbroken. She said she feels like they've ripped the
sure.
carpet out from under her. I really feel sad
I'm
for her.
hoping somebody else will take up that brand. Why Century 21 didn't just go online? Why don't they just
I know.
convert to online? I know, I thought the same thing. She's been trying for 10 years to get something going. She finally got it going. That sounds like us. We worked 10 years and then something happened, you know?
Yeah, everyone's agreeing Ramona needs to go. Drew Valerie said Ramona is a huge Trump supporter and the queen of Karens.
That's a good one. I didn't say it.
I think we agree with you, Drew.
Let's see. So, meanwhile, Tom Cruise is funding quarantine for staff and crew of the
saw
new
that.
movie they're making because he
He-
spent $700,000 so far in order to bring the crew back in September.
On a cruise ship.
Yeah.
That's where they're all
Yeah.
staying. He rented
Good
out a
for
cruise
him.
ship for them, and then
Tom,
they.
I'm available. I'll be an extra. I'll carry your bags. I mean, come on. You can imagine you're on a cruise ship with everybody you know is virus free, and you
Yeah.
just could chill out. I mean, come on.
What is
I am so tired of being virus aware.
The guy, Ham. What's his name? The actor, Ham.
Oh,
He's-
Ahmed, I know you're talking about.
Huh?
John
Hamm, yes.
Yeah,
He's
so gorgeous.
He was on the Today Show this morning, and he said he just saw the final cut of Top Gun, the sequel that they've just done,
Yeah.
and he said it's
Who
spectacular.
did they
So-
use to replace Kelly, or the
I
female
don't,
that?
I don't know who they got in it.
Because
Yeah,
remember,
I saw her.
apparently, this is what I heard, and I
Yeah.
don't know if it's true. What you hear? You said I don't want to say it.
It's been a rumor a long time that
What?
that those two, that Scientologists tried to get her hooked up with him, and she wouldn't do it, and then they kind of squashed her career
that's
after
not
that
what
point.
I heard.
That's what I had heard.
I heard was that she just got really fat and out of shape and ugly.
Maybe two.
Jason can confirm. I don't know if it's true. I don't care. I mean, I hope she didn't, but
No, she gave up acting and she became.
we are just curating the news here. We are not indicating that it's all factual. Everything on this show is alleged. Except that Trump is stupid.
And allegedly, I have to take a 5-second break for our commercials. So
Okay.
give us one break.
God, there's so much. I could go for 5 hours. I could go.
And we're back.
So, speaking of something fabulous, here's my life's lesson. Learn how to get out of the box you are in. Well, if you can't learn it now, because we are in a box, okay, here's a testimonial. I love Leah Black CBD eye cream and daily moisturizer, and recently decided to try your full spectrum hemp CBD serum. I wanted to share with you that I noticed within a couple of days that the darker spots on my skin looked much lighter. I noticed that too on my hand. Jason noticed it too. Barely noticeable. I think it does get rid of the discoloration. And the overall appearance of my skin was tone was more even. I noticed that too. I also like the serum how it instantly absorbed, leaving no residue on the surface, as I was concerned the serum would make my skin oily. You know what? That serum, by the time you put it on, it's in.
Yeah,
It's
it
in.
absorbs immediately.
All three products have made a big difference in diminishing the wrinkles I used to have around my eyes and lips. That's another thing. Always use it right around those lip lines. Even my friends have asked what I'm doing differently. Thank you. Oh, Teresa from Miami. Fabulous.
And that has our offer for the.
Oh, there's an offer.
at the
I
top.
forgot.
Yeah.
We have 40% off of the individual CBD products and the Sudden Youth Complete Lift Facial and Sudden Youth Anti-Aging Nourishing Cannabis Sativa Oil for a limited time only with the code podcast at the checkout at leahblack.com. Free shipping on orders over $50, and we have some beauty bundles starting at $90. You get all kinds of stuff mixed in. But 40% off is a big discount, and now's the time you're going to need it. It's hot, hot, hot. The sun's horrible, and then we're going to get into the winter.
And we have some
So-
great beauty bundles too, value priced on the website as
Value
well.
priced.
We've even got a new 3-piece CBD beauty bundle people are taking advantage of. So
Should.
please shop leahblack.com.
Listen, you need to help us out. We can't do trunk shows. We can't do trade shows. We can't do personal appearances. We can't do speeches. We can't do parties. We can't do anything.
And Google won't let us advertise online either.
Yeah, Google won't let us advertise CBD. So the only thing we can rely on are customers ordering online. And, we do have to pay the bills, I swear to God. Oh, Lord. We got to buy all that food for the food bank. So listen to this. This is another thing. These damn Republicans, I'm just so annoyed by them. January 28th, Trump was told by the National Security Advisor O'Brien that this was going to be the biggest challenge of his presidency, the COVID, and that it would be rampant and it was like a devastating disease. And he didn't do anything about it. That was January the 28th. January 28th. This is September, the middle of September now, okay? He did nothing about it. Benghazi had 4 people dead. And the other side of the world, when Hillary Clinton was asleep in her bed or in her office in D.C., and they had 11 hours of testimony from her, $7 million in hearings, and beat her over the head with it for 2 years over an ambassador that she told it wasn't safe to go there and didn't want him to go, and he wanted to go anyway. And Susan Rice and her took the biggest beating.
Listen, yesterday I saw an online poll, and the question was, do you think the FBI should still be investigating that situation that you just brought up? And do you know 82% of the people, there were over 10,000 responses when I looked at it, 82% of the people said they thought that it should be. It was just a Microsoft
By
online.
the way,
it
the
wasn't
FBI
like a
and the DOJ concluded there was no incriminating evidence there, and they shut down
It's
the
ridiculous.
investigation years ago, a year and a half ago. It's all this conspiracy, underground, Facebook, misinformation,
Yeah.
nonsense, and people are so gullible. Who
Oh.
would have thought people would believe all this stuff?
There is a show on Netflix, a movie that just came out. Was it the Social Network, Jason? Is that what it's called? Yes.
yeah,
it's
that's
the Social
an
Network.
old movie.
No, it's not that.
Oh, it's a-
This is a documentary movie. It's about an hour and a half. I had just watched the first few minutes of it, and I saw the trailer. It's the men and women that developed these apps, that built the logarithms back when they were first getting started for all the apps we use right now, and they're all blowing warning signs saying that they're manipulating you and your thoughts without you even knowing it,
Yeah, of course
because
they
of
are.
the way that your feeds and things are designed,
Yeah.
and the things that are showing up. And they go on and on to say, they talk about, how people can't put their phone down. They have to check it every 5 or 6 or 7 minutes, because that's an ailment, a psychological ailment that they're able to trigger in most people based on what they are able to put into the feeds. And that's how all of these apps were designed, so that you would keep going back to them so that they could start to make money and sell
So
advertising.
what they're doing is they recruit, like QAnon's recruiting, all this underground deep state, another recruiting, white supremacy, another recruiting, and they're indoctrinating and recruiting all these people into this belief system. Trump has lied 30,000 times, and he's getting away with it. It's amazing to me. I'm so disappointed in the American people. If Trump if he gets elected again, it is the end of
It's over.
democracy. There is no democracy. And if it happens because of these people,
The social dilemma.
social dilemma, if this happens because of these 40% of people that support him who are willing to lie, cheat, steal, and carry AK-47s and shut down post offices and cover up for his lies, is this really a country that we want to live in anymore?
No, it's awful.
Really.
It's just not.
I just never had any idea that many Americans were just that
I never thought we'd be
stupid,
here.
or that, gullible, or that racist, or that mean. I'm just shocked by it. Anyway, World
But
War
social
I.
media has played a huge.
Of course, that's where it's all
I think
coming
it's.
from.
I think the social media is like the fertile soil where
That is
all
where
of
it's
this
all
stuff is
coming
being
from.
sowed. And then that's what's happening.
So Benghazi, 4 people died. World War I, 116,000. Vietnam, 47,000. The Korean War, 33,000. 9/11, almost 3,000. And we've had 195,000 COVID deaths. 195,000 people have died, and they're saying 80% of them would have been saved if everyone was just wearing a mask and if Trump would have just come out and said the truth about the virus instead of it's a hoax and it's going to go away. And last week, in one day of last week, Spain had 48 deaths, Italy 10, Japan 6, Canada 0, the UK 6, Germany 4, and the US had 1,094. There's 420 million people in Europe, and there's 300 something million, 380 in the US, so almost 100 million more, 80 million more people there than here, and they only had like 100 deaths and we had 1,000. Our death rate's 10 times. So I don't care how much testing you do, none of that matters. Trump is lying about, well, if you test, we're gonna have more numbers. Well, don't count the test, count the deaths. Just look at the death rate alone. I don't understand the stupidity of people. I'm just like sick of it, really. It's very disheartening to realize that people are falling for all this, you know? Meanwhile, McConnell's got 400 bills in the graveyard that the House is, bipartisan bills that the House has passed in the House, and he won't put them up on the
floor.
On the Senate for vote because he wants to hold on to the Senate. He doesn't want any votes going through that might hurt any of his candidates. What kind of governance is that?
Yeah.
Remember when the Senate used to be the greatest deliberative body in the world?
Yeah.
It's graveyard now. It's Mitch McConnell's the judge and jury, and he's just out and
Another dictator.
Another dictator. Then the Vindman interview. If you missed Vindman interview, Colonel Vindman, oh my God, he's the one that tested.
I feel so sorry for him.
Oh, he
destroyed his
testified.
whole career.
Yeah, he testified at the
impeachment hearing.
Impeachment hearing. And if you hear his story and follow him on Twitter and go online and look at his interview, I mean, they destroyed his career because he told the truth about what happened. So anyway, I'm just so sick of it. There was another whistleblower complaint that some senior official in the Department of Homeland Security came out and said that they had asked him to change his reporting on the terrorists that have come into the country. And there were 6 that had come in, suspected terrorists that had come in where they're building the wall. There were 6. They changed it to 4,000. So he did a whistleblowing complaint. They're manipulating. Now Trump's administration is manipulating all the documentations from climate change. They scrubbed that. They're manipulating
the COVID
reporting. They're manipulating that. They told one of the guys, you need to change this. It's embarrassing the president. We want what you put in your report to match up with what he says. And the guy goes, no, it has to match up with the facts. And they demoted the guy. So he's another whistleblower. Oh my God. And then Trump says, well, I didn't want to scare anybody. I didn't want to start a panic. Okay. He didn't want to panic us over COVID where almost 200,000 people are dead and we're all running around in a mask and can't go into a restaurant. But here, he didn't have any problem. He didn't have any problem panicking people about that Mexican caravan or ISIS or the Muslims coming in or the immigrant racists or the M13s or Antifa. He is nothing but a panic machine. His whole platform is fear, 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 fear.
And conspiracies.
Oh my God, but he doesn't want anybody to panic. And then apparently 2 or 3 people have tweeted that Don Jr. is just coked out, and they think it's because of his girlfriend Kimberly, and he's on cocaine and he needs to go into rehab. I'm not saying that's true. That could be alleged, but did you see the picture of him at the Republican convention?
Yeah,
his eyes were glazed over. He was a mess, and then his girlfriend came out there yelling like she was at a stadium. I mean, they were acting pretty crazy. It didn't look normal to me. Didn't look normal to me. Well, it's almost 4 o'clock, so I guess we're going to wrap up. Let me see if there's anything. I didn't get to talk about the convention, the Republican convention. I didn't get to talk about the Democratic convention. Oh, I've got to talk about one thing. That rose garden. That damn Melania Trump tore out all of those crabapple trees. Yes, and she tore out all the crabapple trees and all the cherry blossom trees that Jackie Kennedy put in there.
And since they did it, you know, the other night they used it as the backdrop for that thing, and the next day they came in and ripped everything out again.
And had to do it. Apparently they put $11 million in it.
Yes, I read something. It was like $10 million
of our money. And the whole
taxpayers'
reason
money.
The whole reason she took out all those trees is so she could have that big grand entrance to walk in down that big courtyard and make a big splash dressed like in a Hitler uniform.
And remember that Michelle Obama planted all the gardens, the vegetables and stuff? She
they
ripped all that out too.
They just spend money like drunken sailors. They're grifters. They're spending other people's money.
don't
Trump
care.
spent other people's money his entire life, and he's spending it now.
Yeah.
Well, I had a bunch more stuff. I want you all to register to vote. I want you to donate to every Senate seat and to the Democratic ticket. And let's see.
And if you're listening in Kentucky, we got to get Mitch
you've gotta get
McConnell
rid of
out
Mitch
of there.
McConnell.
Kentucky is
Oh.
my home state. And I know I'm a Florida boy now, but I got to tell you something. I think that guy is just as dangerous, if not more so, than
By
Trump.
the way, in February, Biden made a speech that said, we are not ready for a world pandemic because the Trump administration shut down 38 infectious disease agencies around the world, including 17 of our top chemists and scientists that were in Wuhan monitoring what was going on. And because they shut them down, and we are not ready. And then on February the 9th, they shipped all of our PPE over to China and never replenished it. And he kept saying, well, the stock's empty. Well, it's empty because you shipped it all to China and didn't replenish it. And he hangs his hat on, we have plenty of ventilators. Well, we have plenty of ventilators because once we stocked up, doctors realized that the ventilators were almost a death sentence and tried to come up with alternative treatment to the ventilator. So that's why they didn't need them. So it's a big cluster. You better get out and vote, and you better register to vote, and you better tweet
and
me,
listen,
Leah Black Miami.
And you need to vote. I know we're in a pandemic, but if you're healthy and can take precautions, you need to go in person because we have to prevent this red mirage that we've been hearing about, that it's going to look like Trump wins on the election night because all of the mail-in ballots haven't been counted. And
that's
then,
his strategy.
You know, that's the strategy. And
And
he's
that
going to
in
contest
addition
it,
to
and
him
that's what's
telling-
going to make it a mess. And so
And then
vote
he's
in
telling
person.
and he's telling people vote twice.
Yeah.
Mail yours in and then also go vote. Well, you know, he's just a cheater. He's
It's against the
stealing
law.
right in front of
Yeah.
stealing the election right in front of our eyes between the post office vote twice and making sure that the mail-in ballots don't get counted until after he's claimed victory.
And the
He's
suppression,
cheating
yeah.
right
Yeah.
in front of our eyes.
Yeah.
We're living in climate change. This is our one chance to get out of this mirage. If you don't get out and vote, and everybody you know, get them out to vote. And like Jane said, if you can go in person, go in person. If you do vote by mail, vote early and track it online and make sure your vote got counted. If not, get a hold of the election supervisor.
Absolutely.
Keep a receipt for your vote. And if you vote in person, I'd take a screenshot of my thing. I'm
I do
telling
too.
you, it's just like we have got the Republican Party has got a tiger by the tail. They don't know what to do about it. They don't want to give up power, so they're going to ride that wave all the way off the cliff and take all of the rest of us down with him.
Yeah. If he wins, I'm going to just tell you, we'll be Russia in 4 years.
You need to look at Bob Woodward's book where he says that Mattis was so worried about Trump starting a war with North Korea, he slept in his military uniform overnight in case he had to get up because Trump was getting ready to drop nukes on him. Oh my God, I can't deal with it anymore.
All right, listen, make sure you all shop leahblack.com. Use the code podcast for 40% off, and we will see you next Wednesday at 3 p.m.
James and I'll be toasting in our new glasses.
Thank you all. Bye.